Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. If a man empties his purse into his head, no one can take it from him. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. Write your sad times in sand. Write your good times in stone. Only two things we'll regret on deathbed: that we are little loved and little traveled. Better to remain silent than be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Iron rusts from disuse. Water loses its purity from stagnation. Even so does inaction sap the vigor of the mind. Talking without thinking is like shooting without aiming. How many things would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Man dies from birth. Study the past if you would define the future. It is easy to love your friend, but sometimes the hardest lesson to learn is to love your enemy. Knowledge is the treasure, and practice is the key to it. You can overcome bad habits only today, not tomorrow. Who knows doesn't say. Who speaks doesn't know. You can't trust a man who has nothing to lose. Choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. Plan for what is difficult while it is easy. Do what is great while it is small. Whoever talks a lot often fails. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will be weak everywhere. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Think of tomorrow. The past can't be mended. An enemy is a friend who knows too much about you. Victory over others gives strength. Victory over oneself gives fearlessness. Give a bowl of rice to a man, and you will feed him for a day. Teach him to grow his own rice, and you will save his life. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. No evil propensity of the human heart is so powerful that it may not be subdued by discipline. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. The mind that is anxious about the future is miserable. Why should you feel anger at the world, as if the world would notice? When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. No man can escape his destiny, the next inquiry being how he may best live the time that he has to live. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Time discovers truth. How much more damage anger and grief do than the things that cause them? As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. People grow like plants, some in light, others in shade. There are many who need shade, not light. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Woe to those who live by examples. There is no life in them. If you live by example, you live the life of that example. But who will live your life but yourself? So live your own life. Man cannot stand a meaningless life. Shrinking away from death is something unhealthy and abnormal, which robs the second half of life of its purpose. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. Man can endure the hardest trials if he sees meaning in them. The whole difficulty lies in creating that meaning. What we walk away from, shying away from, ostensibly forgetting, is dangerously close to us, and eventually it will return, but with redoubled force. A busy man is seldom visited by idle friends. No flies fly to a boiling pot. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The most important part of your life is to understand yourself from the inside. Learn how to understand yourself better by listening to these quotes by Sigmund Freud. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is that you in the past, and the only person better you should be. This is who you are now. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Depression is a frozen fear. The first indication of stupidity is a complete lack of shame. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes. From era to era, one discovers the entire truth. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has. If youth knew, if age could. Thought is action in rehearsal. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The best is always the enemy of the good. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. A husband is almost always only a substitute for the beloved man, and not this man himself. Limitation in the possibility of enjoyment raises the value of the enjoyment.